Hello and welcome to the Love Doc podcast with hosts Waldo Wachewski and Ophelia Brewski.
So imagine handing 50 of your relatives a universal remote control.
Oh boy, that sounds dangerous already.
Right. But this remote lets them physically poke you in the ribs at just any given hour of the day. Like you're working on a major presentation and poke.
Just right in the ribs?
And exactly. You're trying to finally get a good night's sleep. Poke. Or you're right in the middle of a deeply personal, maybe intimate moment and poke.
Yeah, that's incredibly jarring.
Well, that is essentially what you are doing to yourself when you leave your family group chat notifications turned on.
It really is a very literal intrusion. You know, we treat our phones like these neutral, inert objects in our pockets.
Right, just a tool.
Yeah, but they're actually direct portals.
Mm-hmm.
They allow anyone we're related to, no matter how distant, to just demand our immediate cognitive attention.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because today, for you listening, we are looking at a brilliant, slightly unhinged, but I think deeply profound love doc.
Yeah, published back on July 31st, 2026.
Yes, and the central mission we are exploring today is how you establish boundaries with the people you theoretically love the most, especially at a time when technology has completely, obliterated the line between intimate family connection and a 24/7 public broadcast network.
The catalyst for this entire column is this letter writer. And they sign off with this incredibly relatable moniker, which is a millennial who wants peace.
And fewer notifications.
Yes, and fewer notifications.
Yeah.
I mean, this person is writing in just absolute distress because their family group chat has recently detonated over the World Cup.
And what's so funny is the writer explicitly states they don't even like soccer.
Right. They've been drafted into extra time entirely against their will.
Exactly. But, the underlying tension isn't actually about the sport itself. It's about the medium.
Yeah, the platform.
Right. The writer complains that the chat feels less like a cozy space for family updates and way more like social media with Wi-Fi.
Which is such a great phrase.
It is. People are just dropping unprompted photos of themselves, pushing these various pet causes with this really aggressive, or vote energy, and basically expecting everyone else in the chat to react like participants in a comment section.
Yeah.
And the writer points out the rich irony here, right? They actively avoid traditional social media to escape this exact performative vibe, only to have their own family just recreate it via text message.
What's fascinating here is how the architecture of the group chat fundamentally alters human behavior.
How so?
Well, we used to think of a family chat as a safe, deeply intimate space. But the platform itself, with the constant stream, the ability to heart or thumbs down a message, the implicit demand for instantaneous reaction.
Oh, absolutely. Those little reaction bubbles.
Exactly. It actually trains people to act like micro-influencers to their own relatives. The psychology shifts from, I am sharing a moment with my loved ones, to I am broadcasting content to an audience.
Wow.
And I'm just waiting for the engagement metrics to validate me.
But wait, push back on that framing just a little bit.
Sure. Is a family group chat really a broadcast network? I mean, I get that the letter writer feels like it's social media, but calling it a broadcast almost gives the family members too much credit. You don't think they're building a brand?
No. I mean, isn't a group chat really just the digital equivalent of being trapped at the Thanksgiving kids table?
Okay, I see where you're going.
You're just sitting there, your uncle is yelling about soccer, your cousin is showing off a weird rash, and you physically cannot leave the table. It's not necessarily a curated performance. It's just forced proximity.
Yeah, the Thanksgiving table analogy captures that involuntary nature perfectly. But the difference, though, and I think the reason the broadcast element is so toxic, is the lack of a shared physical environment.
Okay, expand on that.
At Thanksgiving, you have contextual clues. You can see your uncle has had way too much coffee. You can read the room. And crucially, you can excuse yourself to go to the kitchen.
Right. You can physically walk away.
Exactly. But in the group chat, you only get the high-intensity data points. The photos, the declarations, the demands for attention, completely stripped of context and nuance. You don't get the physical cues of a conversation. You just get the demands of a broadcast.
And the way that broadcast asserts its dominance over your life brings us right back to that physical poke in the ribs. The notification ping.
Oh, the ping. The dreaded ping.
The love doc has an absolute field day with the fact that this millennial is actually choosing to live this way. His sarcasm in the column is exquisite.
It really is.
He starts by just marveling at the sheer absurdity that this person leaves their group chat notifications turned on.
He essentially asks, Like, what possible justification is there for this interruption? Unless this family chat is actively coordinating groundbreaking cancer research.
Right.
Or perhaps collectively solving a unified field theory in physics. Like, why is it allowed to disrupt your peace?
He paints this incredibly vivid picture, too. He jokes that it's completely obvious these soccer updates are of such immense, earth-shattering importance that you should absolutely allow them to interrupt your morning coffee, your crucial work meetings, your church services.
Yeah, nothing is sacred.
Or, and this is my absolute favorite line from the piece, a hot makeout sesh.
Yeah, underneath all that humor, though, he is highlighting a critical concept in cognitive science, which is context-switching fatigue.
Oh, yeah. That's huge.
When you're engaged in deep work or deep relaxation or, intimacy, your brain is operating in a very specific state. When your phone buzzes, it triggers a mild stress response.
Like a little jolt of adrenaline.
A tiny spike of cortisol, yeah.
Ugh.
Your brain has to completely abandon its current state, analyze the incoming threat or information, and then try to return to what it was doing.
Which takes time.
Research actually shows it can take over 20 minutes to fully regain deep focus after a single interruption.
Wait, really? 20 minutes for one text?
Over 20 minutes, yes.
So you're sacrificing 20 minutes of cognitive focus for what exactly?
Right, and to illustrate exactly what you're sacrificing that focus for, the Love Doc describes what his own family chat would look like if he left notifications on.
Oh, this part is gold.
He says he'd be getting pictures of a noodled mud cat, highly creative plumbing workarounds,
Yep.
and PDF maps of bear sightings in Tarrant County.
The specificity of noodled mudcat and those bear sightings is just incredible writing.
Yeah.
But it drives the point home perfectly, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
We are voluntarily handing over the keys to our attention economy to people who are sharing inherently low-stakes information.
Well, the attention economy is usually discussed in terms of big tech companies, right?
Yeah.
Algorithms designed to hijack your dopamine loop so advertisers can sell you things.
Sure, Facebook, TikTok, all of that.
Exactly. But family dynamics uniquely weaponize that exact same economy. We feel obligated to be instantly available to our families because we conflate accessibility with affection.
Oh, that's a really good point. If I'm not reachable, I must not love you.
Exactly. We've internalized this incredibly unhealthy modern idea that if I don't answer my phone right away, it means I don't care about my family. So we allow our brains to endure this state of chronic, low-level friction, constantly pivoting from our actual reality to an uncle's makeshift pipe repair.
But let's look at the mechanism of what happens when you do give in. Because, let's be honest, we've all been there. The phone buzzes, you know you shouldn't look, but the curiosity just eats at you.
The fear of missing out.
Or the fear of disaster. Like, what if it is an emergency? What if someone needs me? The Love Doc argues that giving into that curiosity is a highly dangerous game. He compares checking these constant random family updates to smoking a modest amount of really good kid weed.
Yeah, it's a very visceral hyperbole. He says time would slow to an absolute crawl, and he would start hallucinating so badly he'd literally have to call 911.
Now here's where it gets really interesting, because he uses that hallucination joke to drop the central metaphor of his entire column. It's actually featured as an inset quote in the text.
Right, the stone metaphor.
Yeah. He says, some stones are best left unturned. But then, mid-thought, he catches himself and says, actually, scratch that. All stones are best left unturned.
All of them.
He claims to have turned his fair share of stones in his life, and notes that the result is almost always a snake, entirely too many scorpions, centipedes, balled-up roly-polies, or a colony of ants that start scurrying around like you caught them.
Well, he uses a very colorful expletive to describe the ants mating.
Are you miffled that no one thought to buy you some flossy Love Doc merch for your last birthday, anniversary, bat or bar mitzvah, graduation, baby or bridal shower? Your outrage is completely justified. Let it out and then get some revenge on your unthoughtful friends and loved ones by web surfing over to thepleasurecraft.com and buying all the dope merch your closets and storage spaces can hold. Remember, money is only temporary, but Love Doc merch lasts easily a decade or so with proper care. At least that's what the merch company rep told us when he took us to that expensive strip club.
He certainly does not mince words to protect the reader's sensibilities.
No, he does not. He advises the millennial to leave the digital stone exactly where they found it. Go splurge on something quarried instead, he says.
I love that line.
And then he delivers this absolute gut punch of a closer for this section. He says it is really poor form to make your friends suck the poison out of your ankle just because you are feeling curious.
That line is the psychological crux of the entire column.
Really? How so?
Well, think about why we click the notification. It's not usually because we actually think there's a genuine emergency. It's intermittent variable reinforcement.
Like a slot machine. It's the exact same psychological mechanism as a slot machine. When you pull the lever or tap the notification, you don't know what you're going to get. Sometimes it's a jackpot, like a really cute photo of a niece, but a lot of times it's a scorpion.
But I have to ask, is a family group chat really full of scorpions?
Right.
Like, is looking at a text thread really injecting you with poison, or is the love doc just a highly cynical person projecting his own deeply dysfunctional family dynamics onto his readers? I mean, most people aren't finding venomous snakes in their WhatsApp threads. They're finding boring photos of a sandwich or someone complaining about the weather.
The poison in this metaphor doesn't have to be a massive relationship-ending fight.
Okay.
The poison is emotional contagion. It is the slow, steady leak of your own mental energy. Even if it's just a boring photo of a sandwich or a passive-aggressive comment about a soccer game, it's the accumulation of those micro-interruptions that poisons your day.
Death by 1,000 cuts.
It's exactly. Checking the chat out of mere curiosity usually results in absorbing someone else's unmanaged anxiety or annoyance, or just an obligation that you simply did not need to carry in that moment.
And when you get overwhelmed by carrying all that unmanaged anxiety, you inevitably vent.
Right. You offload that psychic damage onto your immediate physical support system. You snap at your partner, or you complain to your best friend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you make them suck the poison out of your ankle because you lack the discipline to just leave the stone alone.
So if engaging in real time is effectively a toxic drain on our cognitive resources, but completely ignoring your family and moving into a cave isn't a realistic option for most people, how do we safely interact with this environment?
Well, he gives us some options.
Yeah, the Love Doc proposes two distinct solutions. One is very retro, and the other is aggressively futuristic.
The retro approach is what he calls the boring solution, which functions as a low-tech buffer.
Right. He tells the millennial to turn off all notifications. Hard stop. No pings, no banners, no vibrations. Then you set a daily calendar reminder to manually scan the group chat at your leisure, maybe in the evening right before bed.
Just a scheduled check-in.
Yeah. And why do you need to check it at all? Because, as he very cynically puts it, you need to keep in touch just to know which family members might ask you to bail them out of jail.
Naturally.
Or if you check it at night, you can stay up wondering if the duct tape on your cousin's sewer line is going to hold up until his structured settlement check finally arrives.
This is actually a classic time management strategy known as batch processing.
Batch processing, right.
Instead of letting communication interrupt your life sporadically throughout the day, you take control of the timeline. You decide when you have the emotional bandwidth to deal with the cousin's sewer line. You are reasserting your agency over your own attention.
But then he pivots to what I like to call the high-tech shield. He tells the millennial that they really shouldn't even need his advice to solve this because a toxic group chat is a non-problem in the age of AI.
This is where it gets really sci-fi.
Oh, totally. By 2026, he suggests the writer just create a custom AI chatbot to interact with the family on their behalf. This AI would sit in the group chat, filtering out all the endless nonsense about the World Cup and distilling the rest of the conversation into a daily bulleted list for the millennials' consumption.
Bulleted list of your family.
Yeah. He claims this frees you from the grotesque tedium of social media, providing this clean, emotionless summary of cat photos, bail hearings, and unified field theory solutions.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this represents a monumental shift in how artificial intelligence is being integrated into the human experience.
How so?
Well, initially we thought of AI as a tool for economic productivity, right? Writing code, analyzing data, drafting generic corporate emails.
Yeah, just making work faster.
But the Love Doc is proposing AI as an emotional buffer. The technology is being deployed to filter out the messy, demanding, grotesque tedium of human relationships. It acts as a digital diplomat that stands between you and the emotional labor of dealing with your own relatives.
Which sounds incredibly efficient, honestly. If I don't want to hear about soccer, the AI handles it. But this raises an important question, and it's a massive philosophical problem.
Right.
If we use an AI agent to talk to our families, if the algorithm is the one acknowledging their photos, sending the little thumbs up emojis, and filtering their complex, messy lives down into 3 clean bullet points a day, What is actually left of the relationship?
It's a profound question.
Are we genuinely connecting with our family anymore, or are we just reading a curated executive summary of them? It feels like we are outsourcing our familial love to a machine just so we don't have to be mildly inconvenienced.
That is the defining existential crisis of automated communication. When you filter out the tedium, you also filter out the humanity.
Because they're tied together.
Yeah. The cousin's duct tape sewer line might be deeply annoying, but the way he talks about it, the self-deprecating jokes the family makes about it in real time, the shared history that informs why he's relying on a structured settlement check in the first place, that friction is the relationship.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Human bonding requires a certain amount of shared friction. The bullet point just says, cousin has plumbing issue. You've saved 20 minutes of your day, but you've completely lost the texture of the connection. You were choosing sterilization over engagement.
Sterilization over engagement. That captures the modern dilemma perfectly. We want the idea of family, but we don't want the friction of actually dealing with them.
Exactly.
And what is so incredibly jarring about this column is that after delivering this highly futuristic, somewhat detached manifesto on how to meticulously avoid unwanted opinions and chaotic communications, the Love Doc signs off with a completely unfiltered reality check that violently contradicts everything he just said.
The tonal whiplash at the end of the text is genuinely startling.
It really is. At the very end of the piece, seemingly out of nowhere, he provides a rapid-fire update on the world, just in case the Millennials family group chat hadn't adequately covered the news.
Here we go.
He writes, and I quote, "The World Cup is over. Spain won. Trump is still a horrible person."
It's just a massive left turn. The irony of that sign-off is the most revealing part of the entire column.
It's absolutely staggering irony.
Think about what he just did. He spent the entire text coaching a reader on how to build impenetrable walls, how to deploy artificial intelligence to protect their mental peace, and how to escape the broadcast nature of modern family chats.
Right.
And then with his final breath, he blasts out unprompted broadcast-style opinions to his entire readership. He becomes the exact thing he was criticizing.
He essentially grabs the universal remote and pokes all of his readers in the ribs.
Exactly.
He becomes the loud, obnoxious uncle at the Thanksgiving kids' table, shouting his opinions whether anyone asked for them or not.
He uses his column as his own personal group chat, but one where he has the ultimate megaphone, and no one can mute his notifications.
Wow, yeah.
It highlights a fundamental, almost tragic human contradiction in the digital age. We are deeply, profoundly exhausted by the noise of others, but we feel an overwhelming, almost biological entitlement to broadcast our own noise to the world. We want strict boundaries for everyone else, but unlimited reach for ourselves.
So, what does this all mean? When we look back at this whole bizarre, funny, deeply insightful column, the core lesson here isn't really about the mechanics of artificial intelligence. It isn't just a life hack about turning off your notifications to save time. It's about intentionality.
Absolutely.
It's about actively choosing when and how to engage with the people in our lives, rather than allowing ourselves to be held hostage by the architecture of the technology we carry in our pockets. You don't have to let the remote control poke you in the ribs. You can put the phone in another room. You can choose to be present.
It is entirely about regaining agency over your own attention. But, if we follow the Love Doc's AI solution to its logical conclusion, it leaves us with a much deeper, perhaps much more unsettling question for you to consider.
What's that?
Think about the nature of the artificial buffer. If an AI can perfectly mimic your reactions in a family group chat, if it knows exactly when to send the right laughing emoji to your dad's joke, when to say congratulations to your sister, when to offer the perfect empathetic sympathy to your aunt, and your family is entirely wholly satisfied by those automated responses. Oh man, I see where this is going. Does that mean your actual authentic presence was never truly required?
Wow. If they can't tell the difference, were you ever really there?
Precisely. Does it suggest something much darker about how we interact today? That modern digital communication has become less about genuine, messy, empathetic connection and more about the mere performance of it. If the performance of love is completely indistinguishable from the reality of love over a text thread, which one actually matters?
That is a heavy, necessary thought to carry with you. Because if your family just wants the performance of your attention, maybe a bot is all they really need. But if you want the messy human reality, you might actually have to endure a little bit of the friction.
Thank you for listening to the Love Doc podcast.
We hope you take a moment to rethink your digital boundaries, evaluate who holds the remote control to your attention, and maybe, just maybe, think twice before turning over your next digital stone. You never know what kind of scorpions might be waiting underneath.
To read the column that spawned this podcast, go to austinchronicle.com/columns/thelovedoc. There are probably worse things to do with your time, right?